Welcome back to the 150K podcast. I'm your host, Joe Graham, where we help take your dreams to six figures and beyond. Today, I have with me Travis Swearengen of Monsoon. He is the director of growth, digital marketing expert, all around really cool guy. But I know we've been talking, I think, on Facebook and all for maybe about a year now. Does that sound about right, Travis?
Yeah, I think we connected about a year ago through Marshall Gillen.
Yep. Marshall Go. He's a good guy. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. Actually, I met him up in Montana last May, so that was kind of a fun thing there. But for people that don't know you, like they're listening to us, tell me just a little bit about yourself and what you do at Monsoon, and maybe some crazy fun fact about you.
Yeah, my name is Travis Swearengen. I'm the director of growth for Monsoon. Kind of like you said, my job is to focus on the agency side of things versus just taking care of the clients. I think that in a lot of businesses, like we were talking about kind of before the show, like like the cobbler's son never gets new shoes. You're so busy taking care of your customers and trying to provide a great service that you don't take the time to work on your own company. It happens all the time. And so what my role is in my business is, while my partners and our team are taking care of our clientele, my role is to really focus on Monsoon's growth.
No, that's good. So when you say focus on their growth, you're talking about sales, customer retention. What does that mean?
So a lot of it is going to be our offers, our marketing, um, you know, sales strategies, everything that goes with that for the company itself.
Gotcha. No, that's perfect. So how long have you been with Monsoon, or how long have you been doing this?
So that's kind of a crazy story. I started entrepreneurship in 2014, and I just graduated college, and I'd actually thought that I was going to be going into ministry.
Ah,
So I graduated. I got I barely squeaked by with like a 3.0 GPA with some, useless degree so that I could go to grad school and do the seminary thing. And my first semester when I got there, um, my dad got really sick and collapsed while I was on Christmas break. And I went back to Fort Worth. I was doing my thing during the semester, and he kept getting worse. And I came to this realization, like I can't be out here doing this while he's getting bad. And so I finished out my semester, I dropped out of grad school, and I went back home to Lubbock. And I'm there, and I'm glad that I went, but and I'm sitting there going like, now what?
mhm.
Now what am I going to do? And so some friends from college, they gave me like 4% equity in their app business they just started, to
Oh,
just
nice.
like to just look over the apps and like make sure they function fine, and that like the user interface and the user experience was good. And so we started this app company, and we kind of realized really fast that apps are incredibly difficult to sell,
Yep.
especially using American developers. So like, an app developed in this country, not outsourced out, can easily be like, $100,000, and that's going low.
Mhm.
And so having a couple kids, out of college, trying to convince these businesses that they need an app, which is usually not always the case. Actually, it's almost never the case that you need an app.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to sell this $100,000 software, it wasn't working. And so um, we decided to shift into websites because those were a little more applicable and easier to sell.
Mhm.
Jumped into that. And then soon after that, we discovered search engine optimization, jumped down that rabbit hole. And then
Mhm.
I kind of got into digital marketing from there and just really fell in love with it. And so more recently, I left that agency and I came aboard Monsoon as a partner to build out the marketing department here in the company. And so my role more recently has shifted from only focusing on the digital marketing for our clientele, and it's kind of shifted into focusing on the growth of the agency itself.
No, that makes sense. And I commend you. So like, having a family member having issues and having to make that shift, I commend you for that. I think
Sure.
sometimes things happen for you. We don't always think of it that way. And who knows, maybe in the future you'll go into ministry if that's what you want to do. But just the shifting of, it's kind of funny how our lives sometimes can get interwoven.
No, it's super true, man. Like I was devastated when I moved back, and because everything I'd worked for, like all my experience, I didn't get like an applicable degree for business.
Right.
I just, everything was geared towards going down that one path. And it took my dad's blood sugar dropping down to 38 and collapsing for me to come home and get uncomfortable and really figure out what I thought, what I'm actually made to do.
Mhm.
And so what I've discovered is, like, I love this exponentially more than I ever loved ministry.
Yep.
I like what I do. I found a talent that I never knew that I had. And so it's been good.
Well, and you had to find your own path. Actually, I'm going to tell you a funny little story because, like, when I grew up in Michigan, which is rural where I was at, um, one of the things that people tried to put me into the box was to be in ministry and do that. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm totally into that. That's cool. But I think sometimes we get put in what people think we should be doing, and then we find what we really like lights our heart, and it's just making that decision to move forward. That's just where my mind went with it. Now yours was a lot more drastic. I just made a decision, no, I want to do something else, and I moved to Texas and kind of started my sales stuff there. But no, I commend you for that. So working in a business and all, as a chief growth officer, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in this climate? Because I know we were talking a little bit about it beforehand with, like everything going on. What challenges do you face, and how are you addressing them?
So right now, I think it's easy to kind of like get in this mindset of, well, since we essentially sell a digital product and a digital service that we can offer anywhere, we've got a much better chance of making it, right? And really, you've seen this a lot with other businesses accepting more digital strategies. Like restaurants are finally starting to adopt QR codes.
Yeah.
Like, we've really realized our need for digital. People are starting to work more at home. Zoom took off in
Mhm.
a way that I've never seen a business blow up before. Um, and so it can be really easy to kind of assume, like, oh, we're just going to crush it, right? Then you start realizing, oh, our clients are getting hit incredibly hard right now.
Yep.
And when your clients get hit hard, you get hit hard.
Yeah, I've noticed that even in my business, a lot of people are moving toward doing more internet stuff, but then we had to, as a company, or the company had to, make allowances for a while because
Sure.
the mom and pop stores, the people that did more face-to-face transactions, well, their world went crazy for a while. I mean, it's not
Hmm.
perfect yet, but at least here in Texas is opening up more. As of course you're in Lubbock, I'm in the Fort Worth area with that.
Sure. So
um
it's certainly gotten more competitive. I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah, well, but that's good. The crazy thing a lot of people forget is that most millionaires and most businesses actually thrive more in a depression than when it's super good. And that's because the
Sure.
ones that weren't foundationally strong go away. Not that that's
Right.
happy for people, but I mean, it's the nature of the beast, nature of the business.
Sure. And we are hiring in the middle of the pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
we grew, which is great, but it's definitely been more difficult than it used to be. There's been a ton of different climate changes in our industry just this year alone. Um, Apple and Google have both decided they want to limit the kind of third party tracking they're allowing to happen within, third party apps.
Mhm.
And so Facebook and like Instagram are having a super difficult time actually tracking, people's data and offering people the relevant ads they used to be able to. And so there's a lot of marketing agencies going under right now because they got way too romantic with the one platform,
Mhm.
bet bet the entire house on Facebook, And then when Apple made one policy change, their entire business model crumbled. And
Yeah.
so we're seeing a lot of agencies deal with that. We're seeing like Apple again with the mail app. They're starting to change the way that companies like MailChimp or other email services can even track open rates and all that. So you've got a lot of agencies flying blind right now.
Yeah. So for my listeners, because a lot of them are either sales professionals or entrepreneurs or coaches that are just starting out, that's kind of what this podcast is about. How would they, like if I came to you and said, hey, Travis, help me with my digital marketing strategy, how would you approach someone that's trying to grow or be adaptable in this space currently?
So I really struggle with this sometimes because what we're seeing a lot in agency land is they're going to, you're going to typically approach a digital agency. They've got these predetermined packages like ready to go for Facebook ads, Google ads, or whatever. They work for almost everybody. They're going to tell you it's going to work. They've got results, whatever. You jump into a retainer, you pay it, and you may or may not win.
Mm-hmm.
All while that agency has not really spent a whole lot of time getting to know your business and certainly hasn't spent the time getting to know your customers. And so what we like to do is we like to understand our clientele's clientele
Mm-hmm.
intimately. So what I always want to go into with people is I ask business owners, like, again, like, what are you selling? Who is your target demographic? The typical stuff. But then I want to go and I want to do a deep dive on the internet. I want to hop into Reddit. I want to hop onto forums and Quora and Facebook groups. I want to know what these guys are reading. I want to go to the reviews, like the 3 and 4-star reviews
Mm-hmm.
for these books they're reading. I want to get as much information as humanly possible. And I want to understand, like, what are the problems that as Sabri Subi would say, what are the problems that people would crawl across broken glass to solve? And let's craft an offer around that thing,
Mm-hmm.
and let's dominate that way.
No, I love that. So from what I'm hearing you say, you take care of your customers. You don't give them the cookie cutter. Here's your one package that works. You dig into their business. You find a niche or something that helps them out, and you set up an actual real strategy for them.
Well, you build an offer around what the market actually wants. So there's a legendary advertiser named Eugene Schwartz. He wrote Breakthrough Advertising. It's one of the best ads books ever written.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about this concept of mass desire. He says, like, mass desire already exists inside of markets. There are wants and needs and problems and hopes and dreams of markets that already exist. And we can't create demand with our products.
Right.
We have to channel the demand that already exists into the offers. So we need to craft offers around what people are dealing with and what people are struggling with. And so when I work with a new client, that's what I'm trying to figure out is, like, who is your target demographic? And I'm not just going to be asking, like, what age are they? Are they male or female? What does their daily routine look like? Like
Right.
A lot of avatars do. I don't want to know that. I want to get a bunch of quotes from Reddit about how, short-term rental investors are having problems and are afraid to jump in because local city governments are just, like, changing the rules on them, and their property doesn't work great for long-term renting. Like, finding those actual problems and going, okay, well, how do we build a package around this problem? And so that's definitely where we go. Like,
No, I love that.
You sell what people actually want.
Yep.
Which sounds crazy, but I feel like usually in business, what goes down is that business owners sell what they want to sell. They sell what they're interested in or what they think is valuable to a market, when in reality, they might not know that the rest of the market doesn't care about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So find out what your market actually wants and sell them that. It's a crazy concept, but it works really well.
Oh, it works amazing. It's how I make my money in sales. I've said this on my podcast before, but my manager will get mad at me sometimes with it. But if I can't help you, I'm going to refer you to someone I know that can, because it will come back to me. But I just solve
Sure.
problems. That's how I look at sales. And that's, I think, what separates the exceptional companies from the run of the mill companies. Because yeah, if you're just trying to push your product, people don't care. But if people realize, hey, Travis, I'm going to take care of what you need. This is the problem I hear you saying. And you say, yes, cool. Will this fix it? Well, now it's an easy yes, because you've fixed the problem. It wasn't like, hey, you need a phone and you don't even really need a phone, you know?
Sure. I mean, we need to stop selling and start serving people.
Yep.
Because they can tell the difference, and the best way you can serve people is to actually see them and to actually know where they are and how this actually affects their lives. They're not just a number. They're not a conversion rate. They're not they're a human being that may have a family or a spouse at home, or a sick parent that they're taking care of. They're people that have actual problems. And
Mhm.
so our job as sales professionals is to serve them and to help them alleviate their problems.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. Like that's literally, like I said, how I sell, because people care about relationship. Like I know you
Sure.
probably get this too, because you're on Facebook and all. I'll get these people that DM me and they'll just drop in my DMs and just start cold pitch me. And I'm like, I finally just started using, I have a buddy named George Bryant, and he has this little slogan that says relationships beat algorithms, right? So anytime I get one of these quick pitches, I just put in there, relationships beat algorithms, and see how they respond. Sometimes they
Oh
actually
my
catch
gosh.
it and go, oh, then other times they just keep pitching me. I'm like, and that's the people I block and delete. You have to have that
Yeah,
connection.
I had so Monsoon, we're a brand first marketing agency. So we were founded as a creative shop. And I had a guy jump into my DMs from another brand agency talking about how ineffective our brand is and all that. And I was like, what do you know about our brand or who we're serving? Nothing. Didn't know anything. I said, what? I just asked him, what do we sell?
I don't
And he couldn't
know.
tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're another brand agency, jackass,
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. I'm like take 4 seconds to try and figure out how you can actually help somebody and quit trying to jam your pitch down our throats.
Yeah. Well,
It
and
doesn't even work.
yeah. And the crazy thing is people don't realize, because they get told or they get trained, oh, just contact. But it's impact. If you reach out and actually get to know someone and touch their heart, you're going to get a lot farther than just, bugging people.
Well, and if you provide value on the front end and you make a sale, the easiest people to close are always your existing customers.
Mhm.
It's so much harder to acquire new ones.
Yep.
So if you serve them hyper well, you then have easier upsells in the future.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I make a bunch of money doing that as well. I think people always are thinking, oh, I have to get the new sale. But like you said, if you take care of your clients and you treat them well and you do the things they need, they're going to come back and then they're going to give you referrals. I don't know. I heard this like 80, I think it's 80 to 86% of all actual marketing is word of mouth.
I would not know how to verify that.
Yeah. But no, I heard someone say it, but it makes sense. Because if you think about it, like
Sure.
if you and I were sitting down to dinner and I said, hey, you know what? I really like this Yeti mug. I like it. It's great. People would tell you what they like. But if you treated them bad, they might say, Joe did this to me. And then they'll tell a ton more people.
Well, sure. And you also got to consider the fact that word of mouth has heavily evolved in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, what really is word of mouth anymore? It's reviews.
Mhm.
There are people that there are tons of people that will literally take a review, and it is almost as if a family member has told them or recommended something to them because they trust reviews so much.
Yep.
Or it's social media posts, or it's, so I think that word of mouth is definitely shifted. So I guess I can totally see how it could be 80%.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's the exact act. I just heard someone say it. I don't know if that's the exact fact, but it just made sense to me. Cause like you said, you have the reviews, you have the Facebook, the Instagrams, the different things that people are on. You have people hanging out, talking, I think it's more important now to treat your customers better than it was even before. Back in the day, you could, screw a person and no one but if the people they knew would find out about it. Now if you don't treat your customers right, the world can know about it.
Easily. And then you're sunk,
Yeah.
because people are going straight for the bad reviews. And here's the other thing. People are exponentially more motivated to leave a bad review than a good review, period. Like the number of times where like, I think every review I've ever left for a company has been bad. I can't think of a time where I've left a positive review. And it's not because I haven't had a good experience. It's just because like when somebody wrongs me, I'm exponentially more motivated to get them or to like warn people than I am
Mhm.
about like telling the world and singing the praises of a company that took care of me really well. And
Yeah.
that actually sucks really bad now that I'm admitting that out loud. But I think it's just kind of the nature of
But
people.
that's human nature if you think about it. Like, I mean, I think I have done a couple nice reviews because the company just did something over the top. But
Sure.
normally we expect our companies and our people to take care of us, to treat us with respect, to give us a fair value. That's what's
Mm,
expected. So when that doesn't happen, we're like, oh, wait a minute, this is not good. When it does
sure.
happen, we might say thank you, but we don't think about it as much.
Right.
So let's shift a little bit here. What type of books and all are you reading right now? Any like book recommendations you would have?
Oh man, there's a lot of really great ones. I've got one I'm really excited to read right now. It's called $100 Million Deals by Alex Hermosi.
I have
He's
not
like
read
a
it, but I've been going through a course on it. So someone else has read it and they're teaching this course. Like you're the eighth person to tell me about this book.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to read it. I pulled the trigger on Amazon last night. I'm amped about that. I'm actually reading really slowly through a breakthrough advertising by Eugene Schwartz. I
Mhm.
quoted him earlier. It's brilliant and it is dense. So that's really good. Um, I really like Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subi. I
Okay.
think that one is incredibly good. Um, I can't think of any other off the top of my head. I'm reading all the time, but like those
Mhm.
are those are some of the standouts for me
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
I'm with you. Like I'm reading Atomic Habits right now by James
Yes,
Cleary.
that's been in my my audiobooks for my workouts
Yeah.
is Atomic Habits. Everyone's been raving about that book and for good reason.
Yeah. I again when I have so many because like you, I have a bunch of people in the entrepreneurial space, and when they're all raving about a book, I make sure I put that on my list. So like I read
Oh
Winning
yeah.
by Tim Grover. I read oh crap, the one by Jocko, Extreme Ownership. And then now I'm
Yeah, that's
reading
one of my
this one.
favorites.
Yep. Yep. I'm
Extreme
always,
Ownership's one of my favorites.
yeah, I'm always trying just to get a little bit better, 1% every day. Not that it's
Oh,
ever going to be
sure.
perfect, but just a little bit better. So,
And
would you have any like, and I know you made the joke about daily habits or stuff, but life is structured. You seem to be a pretty structured guy. How would
sure.
you say someone coming in maybe into the digital marketing space or entrepreneurship or anything? What tips would you give them on like structuring their day or anything in that type of realm to be successful?
Um, man, it's hard because it just depends on what they're trying to accomplish, right? Um, there's this really great concept. Have you heard of the 80/20 rule?
Yep.
Okay, so it's this idea for those that don't know that 20% of your inputs get 80% of your outputs, and 80% of your inputs get 20% of your outputs. So you need to start focusing and finding out what are the 20% of tasks in your company that are going to build 80% of the revenue growth. That's the thing I always tell people they need to start looking for first, and that's how they need to start structuring like most of their time around. What's even crazier is you can actually 80/20 rule the 80/20 rule. And so what ends up happening there is 4% of your inputs are getting 64% of your outputs, which is pretty bonkers.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can identify what are the 4% of tasks or actions within your company that's going to generate 64% of your revenue growth, like that is where you need to kind of park. That's where you need to really focus and put your head down. I think far too often we get bogged down by by emails and all kinds of just useless tasks that like it makes us feel busy, but it actually doesn't move the ball up the field at all for you.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. I actually did a post on time blocking and doing what I would call levers, but same concept of what's going to make your business or your sales job or what you're doing more successful. Because busy work is busy work. It's no good. It's just busy work. It's not getting you any closer to your goals. It's not helping anyone.
Right. And it's like that person can definitely wait for you to email them back to the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
going to be okay, you know? So yeah, finding that 4% of things is the most important thing you probably do in your company whenever you're trying to carve out your role and what you need to be doing. It's honestly a big reason why I'm starting to focus so much more on Monsoon's growth itself. Because I realized that like we're taking care of our customers, and that is incredibly important, is to offer a great service. We believe super strongly in like offering a solid, honest service, providing real results, doing real research for our customers, but we just weren't taking care of our own stuff. And so I've been building my role around that 4%, figuring out what are the 4% of things that are going to drive 64% of our revenue. And I've built my role on top of that foundation.
No, I love that. That's great. I always like to do this in the middle. Tell people where they can find you and your company.
Yeah, it's growwithmonsoon.com, and all of our social media handles are Grow with Monsoon as well. I think we'll eventually make the play on monsoon.com one of these days, but I think they're asking for a huge chunk of change, so we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. No, that's perfect. I just always like to do that in the middle because, sometimes people fall off at the end or they may not see everything. So I do have this one question I love asking. It's a little bit of an off the wall out there question. But it is to do with learning and stuff. You can go back in time as far as you want, or you can go forward in time as far as you want. You get to stay for 1 year. You get to learn from one person, and then you get to bring that knowledge back here. Where would you go? Who would you meet? And what would you learn?
100%. I would go and spend a year working under David Ogilvy at his agency.
Nice. Who is David Ogilvy?
David Ogilvy was one of the partners for Ogilvy and Mather, and they were the masterminds behind a ton of like the big ads back in their heyday. So I mean, they had clients like Volkswagen, like a bunch of the major brands now. Mm-hmm. You potentially know because of Ogilvy and Mather's work. And,
nice.
And I really believe that a lot of the concepts that like Ogilvy taught, guys like Eugene Schwartz have taught, Claude Hopkins have taught, they're actually just as applicable today as they were back then. And so I'm a real student of the things that aren't going to change. Right. So I want to really focus whenever I'm learning. I want to focus on persuasion or human psychology, because that stuff hasn't really shifted that much. But everyone is building their entire business and their entire skill set on platforms. And so that's a big problem because, again, like we were talking about earlier, Facebook has a huge conundrum, and like you have all these agencies having to close their doors, or if you're an email marketer and you've based everything on like what kind of open rates you get, well, your open rates are all messed up now because you don't know which of your customers are using the Apple Mail app. And so I think when you build your entire foundation, all your skills, all your expertise on platforms, those things are fleeting. Those things are going to change. But what isn't going to change? Offer crafting. Offer crafting is not going to change. Problems and pain points. Those aren't like, that is always going to be a pivotal thing in business and sales.
Yeah.
Like, so camping out on those things and learning those things and mastering those things, that's where you need to focus. And that's where you need to learn. And so you ask me that, I can't help but think of like how incredibly interesting it'd be to have lived and have worked with David Ogilvy.
No, that's really cool. Cause I'm a salesperson, but I'm not in the marketing side as much. So like
Sure.
when you mentioned it and brought it up, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That would be great to be able to just like
Yeah.
learn and listen. And you brought up some really cool points. One, be adaptable because the markets are always going to change. Two, there are
Yep.
certain principles that are always going to be there, like treating your customer well, finding the pain point, serving your customer. And
Yep.
three, always be learning and growing because you have to be adaptable. That's the thread I keep hearing from you when you're talking is you're always looking, you dig deep into things to make sure you're taking care of your customer so you can serve them the best.
Well, it's investing in knowledge that's going to be good in 20 years. And so, if you have spent your entire career focusing on one platform and developing skills on one platform, the investment you've put the time investment you've put into learning that is not going to compound for you. It will come to an end, within the next decade. But if you are focused on good salesmanship, customer service, human psychology, like, customer research, et cetera, those things aren't going anywhere. Like,
Right.
if you get really, really good at sales, like, you're set. You'll be able to make money in any decade you work.
Yeah. Well, and it's all about getting what I like to say transferable skill set. So, like in my sales career, I've sold heavy equipment, oil and gas investments, I've sold uh, fiber internet solutions, and I've sold windows and doors. Like it just doesn't matter. The sales process is the sales process. The same thing
Sure.
with certain things. You just have to be able to adapt into, okay, in this realm, I'm going to have to operate this way. Well, Facebook might have been working for me before, but now I'm going to have to use LinkedIn, or maybe now I'm going to actually have to pick up the phone and talk to people. It's just being
Sure.
adaptable. Definitely.
Right.
No, I like that.
But your skill set's gonna work on all those platforms.
Yeah. And it's going to grow and get better because you have different angles you have to learn and grow to be able to work those platforms.
Sure. Yeah.
So what other words of wisdom do you have for my listeners? Like it can be about family, life, and health. It can be business, whatever you want.
Man, I think one of the biggest lessons I've been learning this year is the power of incremental growth. Like, incremental. I've always felt that I've always been this like all or nothing kind of person. And so if I wanted to go and lose weight, I needed to go on the most extreme diet that I could get on. And I need to be like doing all kinds of crazy exercise and CrossFit and just I need to change my sleep schedule. I need to change my workout routines, my diet. I need to change my brain. I need to change
Yeah.
it all right now. Right.
Yeah.
All at one time. And I don't know. I haven't been the most regimented person in my life until recently. It's been pretty crazy. Like, I attempted 75 hard.
Mhm.
And I know you completed it because you're a beast.
Well, hold on. But I completed it, but I've completed it twice and I've tried it 6 times. So
Oh my,
it's
okay. I didn't,
yes, it's not
but you
one of
still,
those one and
got
done.
it.
Yeah.
You still got it.
Yeah.
So I got to like day 22 and I was helping my business partners move and I twisted my ankle,
Mhm.
couldn't get the workouts done. And, I was like, okay, well, I'll just attempt this again when my ankle's doing better. And, it took a while to
Yeah.
get, everything mended up. But, what I learned from 75 hard was the importance of like having a power list and like, um, being really regimented and being really structured. And so what I started doing was I started looking at like my entire life and everything that I wanted to change. So like I said, I was always all or nothing.
Mhm.
I'm changing my sleep, diet, exercise, everything, all at one time. And that's just not even possible.
No, no, not
Right?
at
It's
all.
just not. And so I started looking and I'm like, okay, my dad passed at the beginning of last year. And ever since he got sick, my sleep has been horrendous. It's
Mhm.
just been super bad. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to focus on sleep. That's it. I'm not going to worry about what I'm eating. I'm not going to worry about my exercise right now. I'm going to take this one thing. I'm going to deconstruct it. So what do I need to do to get better sleep. Oh, I'm gonna take a good magnesium supplement, right? I'm going to implement an earlier bedtime. I'm going to get away from screens as early as I can.
Mhm.
All these things to try and like work my way into sleep. And so then what I did is I focused on that one thing, that habit building, for like 30 to 60 days. And I got to where I was sleeping really well. I'm like, okay, I want to start going to the gym. And so I'm like, okay, I want to go to the gym every morning at like 6 a.m. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go every single day to the gym. And my goal is not to work out. My goal is to go to walk into the men's locker room. That's the goal. That's it. And that's the hardest step of all of it. And then once you're in the locker room, you're like, well, I might as well
Do something. Yep.
lift. I might as well lift. And then I get in a full workout. And so then I do that. I've been doing that for the last 6 months.
Mhm.
And so, and now I'm starting to finally like dial in the diet. And so what I've been learning over this year, when I'm starting to see really like great results, and I fixed my sleep, I'm starting to fall in love with the gym for the first time. Like, really, like, look at all the things you want to change in your life and quit trying to change them all at one time, because you're not going to succeed. It doesn't work that way. You don't just cold turkey change all of your habits into all of your bad habits into good habits.
Right.
That's just not how that happens. And so take apart all the things that you want to change. You want to fix your sleep cycle. You want to work out more. You want to reel in your diet. Take those things apart, and reverse engineer what you're wanting for each of those things, but just focus on building one habit at a time.
Yeah.
It's completely game changing. Like, think of like, can you remember what you were doing in 2017?
No, I had to think hard to remember everything I'm doing. And then,
The point I'm trying to make is like think of like what you were doing, I don't know, last year or the year before. And like, we're always like thinking about and talking about how fast time goes. Oh, it feels like yesterday it was 2020. It feels like yesterday it was
Mhm.
2019, 2018. Time is flying by. And
Yep.
it's going to fly by at the same rate that it always has, just ticking away. And it's going like the next 2 years are going to get here as fast as they always have. And you can decide where you're going to be in those 2 years,
Yep.
you know? And so it's going to get here quick, even if it feels like it's far off. So some people are like, oh, I got to lose all the weight in 6 months. Why? Why do you have to lose all? Why the rush? Just get on the path, get on something sustainable, change your bad habits into good habits one at a time. And like, you're going to get there.
I love that. No, I totally love that. Because I was thinking about actually 2017, I was 210. We went to Disney. I just remembered. And that's when I started my whole health journey. I'm 185
Sure.
today, but there's been that ups and downs through that whole time. There was times when I was like really dialed in, and then there's times where I wasn't.
Sure.
But what you said was kind of funny. Have you read Atomic Habits yet, or is it on your list?
I'm in the middle of it right now.
Okay,
So
cool. Because
I started this before I read Atomic Habits, because I just kind of realized like what I'm doing is just not working.
Mhm.
And I'm tired of telling my friends I'm on another diet, or
Yeah.
like, I'll be like working out for a little bit of like, guys, I think this is the one,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, I know good and well that I've said this 100 times before, and I came to that realization, like, and it really through 75 hard, I'm like, dude, it's really great to be disciplined. It's really
Mhm.
good to be regimented. It's actually like, I was actually happier, being disciplined and regimented, than I was just being like free form and like no game plan, no time blocks for my day. No, like 75 hard taught me how to plan.
Yeah.
And it taught me like, it showed me that I was actually happy doing that. So even though I didn't ever jump back into 75 hard, the lesson that it had for me was that like, there is so much happiness and discipline.
Mhm.
And so whenever I started applying that to just focusing on one habit at a time, I actually started seeing things move.
Which
And
is the whole
so,
point of it. So, like,
right.
I agree with you. It's totally the whole point. It's getting your life structured so you can design it and be fulfilled in what you're doing. Like, I mean, that's really the whole thing. So I like that whole just do the one thing, because it takes the whole pressure of being perfect off, or just walk into the gym, because if you walk into the gym and go into the locker room, you're like, well, crap, I'm here. Like you said, you're going to do it, but it's just making it a simple thing you can do. That's perfect. I love it.
Like, I know conceptually whenever I'm driving the gym that there's a good chance that it'll be back in bicep day, but I don't hold myself to it. What I hold myself to is walk into the locker room.
Yep.
That's it. Go and get into the locker room, and you can literally drive back home and jump back in bed with your wife and go back to sleep if you want to, but just go to the locker room, find a very simple goal that you can hit every single day just to reinforce that habit. Now, if I'm going to the gym, like I didn't go to the gym for a part of Thanksgiving week, I felt extremely weird.
Yep.
And, now I'm able to get up, go to the gym at like 5 or 6, and it's not really a big problem. It's not an issue. I just walk back in the locker room, put my stuff up, go work out. I don't even really think about, am I going to do it? Am I going to lift today, or am I going to touch the wall? Which one? I don't know yet, but now it's just like, it's just become just super simple.
Yeah. Because now it's become your new norm. So now it's become the habit that you do, which now you're more empowered because you're more structured, you're more set up. So you're good to go. And then you can do it and add the next one.
Well, James Clear talks a lot about in Atomic Habits about how like a lot of our habits come from like who we believe our identity is, And so as I'm, and then like the every time you do your habit, it's like a vote in that direction, right? So every single day that I walk into the locker room, for me, is a vote towards Travis Swearengen as an athlete. And so now I'm feeling more and more like an athlete all the time. And I'm my health is improving. My cardio is getting better all the time, so yeah, I guess like to kind of summarize like what you asked, like wisdom that I have for your listenership is, do not underestimate the power of like 1% better every day. It's not just a cutesy saying, and it's not a low goal. It's a incredibly effective and super powerful way to change your life pretty quickly.
No, I love that. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you again, Travis, for being on the show. It's been a blast to have you. Any other parting thoughts before I let them go?
I'm great, man. I can't thank you enough for having me on, man. I really love the show and I love what you're doing with it. And kudos for getting, into the 50s on the episodes. I don't know, most podcasts don't make it past 15 episodes. Yeah. And you're past that threshold, and you have all the momentum in the world, bro. You're doing great things.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Travis. And thank you everyone for listening to the 150K podcast. I'm your host, Joe Graham, where we help take your dreams to 6 figures and beyond. Please share this with your friends, your family, anyone that you think could benefit from it. Please like, review, comment. That's how I get built up in the algorithm so more people can hear this. I read them. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, just get 1% better. It's worth it.